a Guildgate. This is the first time in a very long time we've had, you know, a called draft where we had 15 cards to look at. We're going to go ahead down here and take a look at BBD's pack.
Yep, hopefully we can get the hand cam on him in a second here. There we go.
So it looks, we got a decent one. Guildgate, far and away at the top of the pack is what BBD is looking at. I think that's a Viashino Haste guy on the far right. First Blade, I believe that's his name.
Yep.
A Gorgon, which I don't think is better than a lot of the cards in this pack. Far and away is far and away the best card in the pack.
Away, the best card. Yeah. Wow, it's like we both thought of that at the same time.
Well, it's almost like it wrote itself, right?
Yeah.
Especially with BBD doing the drafting. So, so you know, I don't know exactly the names of all the cards, but I do know what they do. So if I don't say the exact name of the card, I will just try to say what it does, what colors it is, etc. My apologies, but far and away, you know, unsummon or you know, an edict effect, both cards together, pretty decent. Here it looks like we have a pretty green heavy pack. BBD pulls the, looks like the Tithe Drinker right to the front. A very solid 2-drop with lifelink. Not a whole lot else going on in this pack. BBD flipping the cards pretty quickly. Hard to decipher exactly what's in it. But, you know, there is a Clue Stone, which I think he's considering. A Guildgate closer to the front, thinking about maybe going black, green, blue. I think I would probably go with the Tithe Drinker. It's a very strong card. Esper, you know, solid colors to be in. You get to be in Orzhov in pack 2. And then you get a lot of action in pack 3 as well with blue-white. Blue-black, not necessarily my favorite color combination since Dimir doesn't have the greatest cards in its guild. But, you know, the Cypher cards do get a lot better now that the format's slower due to everyone having to play 3 colors.
Right, and just because BBD has the far and away doesn't mean he has to go Dimir. He can go black anything, blue anything. He's so open right now.
Correct. And it looks like we have a second Tithe Drinker here, which is going to be pretty sweet. There's a Maw of the Obsidian, all these considerations. If he is planning on playing the blue, which he's not locked into by any means, because, you know, the black half of Far and Away, the sacrifice effect, is way better than the bounce effect. So he could just be, you know, in black-white right now, just stick to Tithe Drinkers, you know, maybe end up in you know, black, red, white, maybe even, you know, black, red, blue or something, or sorry, black, white, blue, if he does decide to go into blue, but not locking himself into those colors. Tithe Drinker, a solid card here.
Yeah, and you know, he passes on the Warcaller's Helix, and this is going to send a pretty strong Boros signal to the player to his left, but that luckily doesn't matter all that much.
Yeah. Okay, so he does see a Deputy of Acquittals here, which is a cool combat trick. Solid creature. Windrake, another decent flyer. If he is planning on going into Esper, he does have some decent options here. That looks like, was it Runechanter's Bane or something? It's the 2-mana blue enchantment that taps a creature with power 3 or less, and that creature, or sorry, cast cost 3 or less.
Bane,
yeah, Runner's Bane. He's going to take the Windrake over that.
That surprises me.
Yeah, I don't actually agree with that pick. Maybe he's just planning on playing a lot more creatures than, you know, removal spells. Right now he does have the 2 Tithe Drinkers as well as the Far and Away. I would probably have taken the pseudo removal spell though.
Yeah, the Woodlock Creeper would be a great addition to any Dimir deck, but it's questionable whether BBD is going to be Dimir. It's a 2/1 Forest Walk Pro Green. Right. A really great tool against the Selesnya Golgari.
Agree. It's a little difficult to cast though, especially on turn 2. I would probably lean towards the Steeple Rock since it's a little easier to cast. It dominates the board a little better versus basically anything. And the fact that it's flying means you know, the invasion is pretty important. BBD deciding to go with the smaller of the 2 with the pro-green creature as you suggested.
Yep, so Woodlock Creeper added to his stack. And this pack, what's he eyeing here?
I don't actually see a whole lot for him. I'm trying to focus on the Esper cards just to make it more easy. You know, he has an Azorius Clue Stone that he could take. It looks like he's kind of aggressive at the moment, but he's also not taking Guild Gates because he hasn't really seen any on color, which means that, you know, even though he has a bunch of 2-drops in his deck, he might not even be able to cast them until turns 3 or 4. But luckily, Tithe Drinker is a great creature at almost every point of the game, not only because it has lifelink, but also because of the X-Storm.
Right, and there is a Guild Gate for him.
On-color Guild Gate, definitely pulling that to the front. That's almost 100% what I would take. Deputy of Acquittals is fine, but I would definitely pass that over the Guild Gate here. I think that, is that a No, I'm sorry. I cannot tell what that card was.
Keeper of the Peace? I'm not sure. Either way, though, the Guild Gate the best card in the pack and exactly what BBD needs to let him cast these 2
Yeah,
drops.
exactly. I mean, we were just saying that he didn't have any guild gates. Now he's got one, and it's a pretty late one on color for him. Pretty fortunate. The last pack also very Cluestone heavy. Here, BBD looking at Orzhov Cluestone, looking to be more of a control deck. Ritter Silent, not really the greatest card. It's like a bad cancel. So he's just going to take the Cluestone that's on color, really trying to build towards a solid Esper control deck. Here, taking some of the smaller utility creatures so that in the next couple packs he can really start drafting the big bombs once he gets his mana set up perfectly.
Right, and it's always nice to draft cheaper cards first because you can always fill out the top end of your curve with most anything.
All right, I believe, was that Pilfered Plans? Can we get that on screen real quick? Because he took that kind of fast. The only other option in the pack really for him was a Cluestone, and I don't think, I think now he has 2, he doesn't really want another one.
Right.
I believe it was Pilfered Plans.
I think so too. Pilfered Plans is they mill 2 and you draw 2 for 3 mana.
Right. Dimir Cluestone, this is a 3rd Cluestone for BBD. He's really setting up his mana. He's got a couple draw spells, a couple solid creatures here. Really just, you know, wanting to bank on the next couple packs to really fill out the juice of his deck. Right now just making sure that he's able to cast all of his spells easily. Right. Here he takes the blue Gatekeeper, which, you know, triggers, he gets to draw a card. You know, he's only got 1 guild gate, but he still has the potential to get more in the next 2 packs, though I think taking guild gates in the first pack is much more important. Riot Control, not a great card, but something the BBD can take maybe as a sideboard option. Also had Crypt Incursion, neither very important in his deck. Uncovered Clues, not really something I'd want. Maybe just rage off the Plasma Capture, get you 50 cents or whatever.
I think BBD might have done that if he wasn't on camera.
Right, and a couple Cluestones that don't matter. He's going to take probably the Cluestone to probably get people mana screwed later if they're reliant on those for mana fixing.
Right, and there were so many Cluestones in this first pack, weren't there?
Yeah.
So here's the review period. We can see what white cards he has, what Dimir cards he has, and right now he has an Orzhov, 2 Azorius Cluestones, and 2 Tithe Drinkers. So really, he's not committed to white right now. He has the fixing for it, but if he opens a really good card in pack 2, that's not white, that's maybe like, well, he can really go any color combination right now, but he would prefer to stay white because of those 2 Tithe Drinkers.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you know, he does have the you know, the Cluestones to help him splash, you know, if he really needs to, but. The Tithe Drinker is very powerful, and I think Orzhov, one of the better guilds, especially in the second pack, definitely looking to pick up a lot of Extor cards, a lot of removal spells in this pack, maybe a couple of Bomb Rares, and Alms Beast would be fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
Treasury Thrall, also very good. You know, Gift of Orzhova, if he's, you know, planning on becoming aggressive eventually, maybe not necessarily with all the Cluestones, but he does have that option.
Yep, so here we go, pack 2.
All right, so we do have a pack which looks like Holy Mantle if he wants to be aggressive. Executioner Swing for him, probably going to take that. I know he pulls them both to the front. And then we have White of Precinct 6. Doesn't really have a whole lot of mill stuff going on. Not a huge fan of that guy in the deck. Passing Urban Evolution, Mystic Genesis. Urban Evolution, the important one. And a Spell Rupture for maybe you know, some sort of Simic, you know, aggro deck for his guys to the left and right.
Right, and you know, it's important to note that all these cards that he's pulling to the front, he's probably not thinking about them all. He's trying to figure out what he can table from this pack, what he's going to get back on the lap.
So BBD ends up going with the Holy Mantle. It's a great card to bust through board stalls. Maybe not something necessarily that he would want his deck over Executioner Swing if he's going to end up being more of a control deck. But since he has the 2 Tithe Drinkers and the protection from green, you know, blue-black 2-drop, he has the ability to become aggro if that's what the cards allow over the next few picks.
Oh, wow. So another Holy Mantle, Syndic of Tithes, and Urbis Protector. What do you think he's going to go
here?
Corsair
Denizen too. I would expect him to take the Urbis Protector since he has multiple Cluestones already, but I could really see him taking any of these cards. Personally, I think I would take the Protector, maybe even the Syndic of Tithes since it does have Extort. Generally, when you're playing this kind of deck, all you want is a card that has Extort over and over again. You know, if your opponent kills one, you still have, you know, 1 or 2 on backup. So, and that's what BBD goes for. Passing on the card he first picked, the Holy Mantle, for a card, you know, common that, you know, extorts. And I think that's very important to note for this format.
Yeah, just the super powerful extort mechanic. It's the one mechanic that really just goes across all guilds. It's just so good in any deck.
All right, so we got a blue-black Guild Mage, which is potential Basilica Guards, which he pulled right to the top there. I'm pretty sure he's going to be taking that. I can't see the black card. Oh, yeah, and then he has a Syndic Enforcer right next to that. That's more aggressive. Since he did take the Mantle, I think it's likely he'll take the Enforcer over the Guards. but it just depends on whether or not he feels Holy Mantle. But
Oh.
Dunrove of Horror, okay, he pulled that one. I didn't see that one before. That guy, an awesome tempo card. Recoils basically when it comes into play. And that's going to be what he takes here, and you know, to be part of the top end of his curve, give him something to really do with his clue stones.
Right, especially since he didn't take that Urbis Protector. If he took the Protector, he would likely take something cheaper here.
Right, so not a whole lot in this pack. We have a 2-drop just to give us a little bit of early game. Nav Squad Commando to you know, curve out with our clue stones. I'm pretty sure he's going to take the Gutter Skulk, and that's why he's having it up front. Keymaster Rogue also a consideration since it is unblockable, but he doesn't have a lot of come into play effects. Looks like he's going to end up with the Nav Squad Commando to really make his clue stones do some work.
Right, and he would really like to wheel that Purge of the Profane, the discard 2, gain 2 as well.
Yeah, I mean, that card's pretty good against the other slow control decks. Not a fan of main decking it since, you know, some of the aggro decks in the format, a little too fast for that to really do anything. A couple of sweet options here. That Dustmantle Guildmage, not the greatest Guildmage in the world, but it's fine. BBD really looking towards that Primordial at the front, since he does have all those clue stones to really ramp into it. The Syndic Enforcer, also very good since it does have Extort. It's going to be interesting to see which one he picks here. A lot of cards to choose from. Probably going to go with the Primordial since he does need an in-game to go with those clue stones.
Yeah, and you know, it's really nice for BBD. His deck's really coming together here. He has a lot of 2-drops, which can be key, and now he's just building his top end.
Yep, and there you see yet another 3-mana accelerated artifact, which he will likely take, as I do think that Orzhov Keyrune is one of the better ones because the high toughness on it, as well as the lifelink, makes it incredible for defense. Only costs 2 mana to activate, which is also nice. He's going to end up taking the Nav Squad Commander, though, since he already has 3 clue stones. I don't think he wants to get flooded on him, and he really just wants to make sure he can do something with all that mana.
Right, it's a marginal upgrade from Clue Stone to Keyrune.
Right. It's awesome in this format, you know, with the clue stones especially. You can build your deck in such a way so that you can utilize the mana early with a lot of 5-drops, a lot of 6 and 7-drops, and then if you start to get flooded out, you just cycle them.
Right.
This pack very dry for Brian. He might take the wall, but it looks like he's going to hate draft the Zemek Guildmage, since that is fairly hard for him to deal with, as he has very little removal thus far. Next up, last thoughts, not terrible, although he doesn't have a whole lot of evasion.
Wow, it sure looks like someone has a pretty good blue-green deck maybe to his right.
Yeah,
Josh Schneider's in a great position to be Simic.
Yeah, that late Darkman Crassus is pretty solid. I think I may have taken the Night's Watch over the last thoughts simply because he doesn't have very many creatures with evasion. Not going to trigger that Cypher too often.
Wow, and you see BBD's hands there. He's frustrated with this pack. All these Simic cards.
Yeah, but I mean, to be fair, there aren't a lot of great blue-green cards in Pack 1, and it's really hard to try to move into Simic, so I think someone who is a dedicated Simic player, you know, they kind of plan on being that, get very much rewarded in Pack 2 for being Simic, just because no one else really is drafting it because the cards are so weak in the first pack for the guild. You know, maybe you open a Progenitor Mimic, and then you get lucky and the guy to your left isn't drafting Simic, and you get past all the good green-blue cards. You know, maybe that's something that happened in this draft. Here's a blue-black Guildmage for him. Spell Rupture if he wants to go that route, but just another solid utility 2-drop there for Brian.
That's right, and he's going to have a lot to do with his extra mana. He's probably loving those clue stones right now.
Agreed. Scatter Arc, a decent sideboard card, though not something I would ever main deck. Only good if your opponent has some big instant or sorcery that you have to counter. Paranoid Delusions or Murder Investigation, not entirely relevant. I think Murder Investigation is probably more relevant than the other. Since he's not aggressive, I don't think he's going to be milling people out with the Paranoid Delusions. So it looks like BBD's deck's shaping up pretty nicely. I think he really wanted to get Guild Gate in that pack, just so he could fix his mana a little bit better without needing the clue stones. At the moment, though, it looks like, you know, he's got a lot of solid 2-drop creatures, you know, 1 or 2 removal spells, and a lot of stuff to do with the clue stones, which is very important.
Yeah, he would love to pick up a couple removal spells in this pack, a Dimir Guildgate, and then maybe just round out his deck with a 3-drop, another solid 5-drop. He's looking to plug holes at this point.
Yeah, it's actually kind of funny how often a Zerichi Tiger gets made fun of. It looks inherently like a bad card just because it gains life and doesn't, you know, attack very often, and it doesn't have like a great power and toughness. But it's subtly very powerful against a lot of the aggressive decks in the format. It can come down, the 3 toughness is huge against all the 2-1s and the 2-2s, and then the 2 life you gain each turn can mitigate a lot of the early pressure that these decks can deal you, and BBD knows that for a fact. We've talked about it, not at length, but at various times during the Seal Deck season for Gatecrash, as well as drafting it. and he did pick one up. Maybe he'll put it to good use.
So here we go, RTR. What do we got?
All right, so it looks like BBD is going to be drafting blue-white in this guild. There's another great card for his clue stones to ramp into. Isperia, the Supreme Judge, punishing your opponent for playing, a lot of creatures. And I'm almost positive he's going to be windmill slamming that, though he's showing us his options there with the Stealer, Secrets, and the Skyline Predator, as well as Eyes in the Skies.
Again, he's just figuring out what he's going to be able to table. He would love the Stealer Secrets to wheel back, but he'll settle for any of those three there.
Right, and from what I've seen so far, it looks like BBD is a base blue-white deck, and he's more so just splashing black at the moment. He does have the Dimir Guildgate, and I think 2 key runes that do tap for black. His third clue stone, and his third clue stone is the Azorius one, but he wants to be focused on blue-white, and going into pack 3, he's that exactly, and so he's basically just looking up to pick up some solid cards here. He could still take some black removal spells like a Stab Wound or something. Here he gets a 6-drop flyer, Isperia Skywatch, that will allow him to detain creatures while battling his opponent. Azorius Arrestor, if he wants to become an aggressive deck, he could do that, but I think he's probably leaning toward the Skywatch. It is a little slow, and he does already have a couple 5 and 6 drops. Frostburn Weird also a great consideration, though maybe a little tough to cast.
Wow, he ends up on the Arrestor.
Yep.
Not a card I really expected him to take, but it's going to be a marginal 23rd if it even makes the main deck.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with that pick necessarily. The Skywatch is a more powerful card, but he already has about 4 6 drops, he has like a couple 6 drops, a couple 7 drops, or 1 7 drop, excuse me, as well as, multiple 5 drops. And so there's a Guildgate that he's probably going to take just to help fix his mana. Stealer of Secrets, not great in his deck because he doesn't really have a good way to pump it. He also doesn't have a good way to get his opponent's creatures out of the way. More so going to be relying on those big spells to take over the game and hoping to just ramp into them with those clue stones.
Right, and now that he has enough playables and enough good playables, he's just going to take the Guildgate, fix his mana.
Yep. If he picks up a solid removal spell here or something, even a dramatic rescue would be a boon. That Paralyzing Grasp, I think, is what's coming to the front here for BBD. It's going to be able to lock down an annoying creature from the opponent, maybe a flyer, maybe just a big creature from a Golgari deck or something of that nature. Not something you need against a creature like Vitu-Kazi Guildmage, perhaps, but still a decent removal spell on its own.
Yeah, and BBD at this point, he's going to take what he can get. Wow, no Paralyzing Grasp.
Yeah, maybe he's going for a little bit of the aggro route. Stealer Secrets can steal some games, as it were, but without a lot of removal spells or tempo spells, I don't really see that pick making too much sense.
Wow, I think BBD is going to snap up this Volatile Rig. It's a really powerful card, and it gives him a board reset that he doesn't have anything like that.
Yeah, your opponent can either choose to take 4 damage, since it does have to attack every turn, or, they have the option to block it, deal it some damage, but it looks like BBD is at Inspiration. Did he take Inspiration?
He did.
All right, well, it looks like he took Inspiration. Not really the card I would expect him to take there. If he took the Stealer Secret to the last pick, I expect him to just take another one, or perhaps the Volatile Rig. But, the Volatile Rig is explosive, and can sometimes deal you a little bit of damage. There's a Paralyzing Grasp there again. It looks like he's peeling the Mine Rot over it, but I think the Paralyzing Grasp would be much better for his deck.
Yeah, important to note, he didn't take the Purge of the Profane, so I guess he really wants a discard to effect to side in the Orzhov Mirror.
Yep. Or just any control mirror, Dimir deck, just the slower decks in general. Rune Wing here, definitely a solid card for Brian.
Wow, and look at all these Frostburn Weirds. Is that the third one we've seen?
It's
maybe second.
It's up there. Bluster Squall, also a solid card. Basically a fog effect. If you need it, can help you Alpha Strike in a racing situation. Brian going to take that and hope to put it to good use with all those 2 drops. It's kind of odd to see his draft shape up because I feel like he's trying to go in 2 different directions. He's got a lot of 2-drop creatures, perhaps just to stall the early game so he gets to his big stuff. But then we see him start to take clue stones like after he takes the 2 Tide Drinkers. Here he can take Doorkeeper if he wants to be very defensive. The downside is also reasonable since it can be another fog effect, and especially powerful in combat with multiple Tide Drinkers and other 2-power creatures. Double block maybe, triple block 3 or 4 creatures or something, and then cast the downsize, shrink them all, and then kill their guys and save all yours.
Yep.
We do pick up a Skyline Predator, which lapped, which is fortunate for Brian. It's a great threat. It's hard for a lot of people to play around because there aren't very many creatures with flash in the format, so that should be fairly powerful.
Yep, BBD pulls Dagger Drome Imp to the front. He would rather take that than hate draft the Izzet Guildgate.
Right.
Hate drafting at this point, not really a major concern.
And there could be a matchup where the Dagger Drone Imp ends up being powerful. You know, I think he's going to be fairly evenly spread out across the board as far as colors are concerned, simply because he has so many black cards early in the game, mostly blue-white at the top end. But he does need to cast a lot of those 2-drops on turn 2, and that means he's going to play a lot of swamps, which means it's not going to be that hard to cast a Dagger Drone Imp. Doesn't really have a great way to pump it, but it trades with a lot of the X1s out of Gate Crash, as well as you know, just gaining some incremental life here and there. And a couple of late picks here that are mostly irrelevant. And looks like that's going to be it for Brian.
Yep, so BBD settled into a nice Orzhov Dimir deck. I
Just
like
say
his
Esper,
chances.
man.
Yeah, Esper. We're not.
Because there's also Azorius. You have to say all three if you're going to say two.
We're not in Shards of Alara here.
That's fair.
But, yeah, I like his chances. He has a mythic rare. He has a couple decent removal spells. And really a nice curve, which is what I like most about his deck.
Yeah, I mean, he does.